Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in again. It's only been a few days since Saw EP dropped, and by now I'm sure most of us have already picked a favorite track, right? Memorized a few lines and caught ourselves humming the tunes without even realizing it. But along with the excitement, some questions naturally come up too, you know what I mean? And maybe the top two we've seen from non-fans are these. Is this still the SB19 we know? Has their sound changed? So let's talk about it. From hearing the teasers alone, without the full songs yet, we admit we were apprehensive? We've said it before. Coming from the strength of the first two EPs, our expectations were naturally sky high. And those EPs were so cohesive, so strong that as fans, we kind of built this sort of, this is the SB19 sound in our heads. You know what I mean? But here's the thing. It's a weird paradox. Something like, we have a strong feeling about what SB19 sounds like, but if we really tried to define it, we can't exactly pin it down. So when we heard the Saw teasers, we thought, this sounds very different. Where's the big Tagalog ballad? Are they aiming for a more international sound this time? And honestly, we were scared, you guys. We thought, what if in trying to go global, they lose that essence, that SB19 identity that feels so close to us? And then the EP came out, right? And from the first full listen alone, one thing became very clear. Yes, it sounds different. And when you add the fact that SB19 collaborated with a wider range of producers this time, both familiar faces and new ones, it made sense why this final installment felt distinct from the first two parts of the trilogy. So our team sat down and we listened to the EP separately, in fact, and promised not to form instant opinions. We gave it time to breathe. And after a few days, when we regrouped and talked about it again, we all arrived at the same realization. The reason why this EP sounds different is because it's SB19. Because this is them, pushing boundaries, surprising us, right? This is exactly who they are. From the start, SB19 has never been predictable. And yes, sure, haters and skeptics will lazily call them loud or noisy, but that's just surface-level comments. Because the truth is, once you really pay attention, the substance, the passion, right? The musicality, and the storytelling, they are undeniable. How many times have we seen casual listeners, even non-fans, completely shift their perception after watching SB19 perform live? That's because SB19's passion is loud, not just in volume, you know what I mean? Their spirits are loud. When they perform, you feel it. Every show, every performance, it is a full-out emotional experience. I mean, seriously, even watching them through the screen gives us goosebumps. It's that intense, you know what I mean? And even when they're tired or sick or facing pressures we can't even imagine, they still give everything they have. And that same relentless passion? It's alive and kicking in Saw EP. Sure, the sonic textures are different, right? But if you really listen, beneath the new sounds, the unfamiliar structures, it's still them. It's still SB19. And we've said this many times before, they have this ability to make any song, any genre, still feel like it's theirs. And isn't that the magic of truly knowing who you are as an artist and having full ownership over your craft? They're not boxed in by one style or sound, they're free. And with that freedom, they evolve, but they don't erase who they are. It also speaks a lot about who they are behind the scenes. Because the people they work with, including new ones, have nothing but good things to say about them. How humble they are, how hardworking, how collaborative, you know? And that humility, it translates into the music. Because no matter the genre, no matter the collaboration, SB19 never loses their fingerprints on the final product. And there's something we've always loved about them. They make sure every member gets space to grow. They distribute lines in a way that challenges each other across different genres, and because of that, everyone's getting sharper. Look at Stell and Justin. They've stepped up their rapping. Josh's vocals have evolved so much. I mean, all of them have grown so much over the years. And you can feel that internal push among them. Not a toxic competition, but a collective growth. You know what I mean? Just enough challenge to sharpen each other, but also the willingness to step back and let each member shine. With those crazy ad-libs and emotional highlights. It's also exciting to see members involved in songwriting and production. And yeah, while Pablo remains the powerhouse, it's refreshing and frankly more sustainable to see the workload spread out. It gives Pablo space to also recharge and lets the group's creativity diversify even more. It gives the other members their chance to show how much they've evolved as artists, and that is incredibly beautiful. I mean, the song Quit, for example, right? It's very Felip, but it's also SB19. You know what I mean? Like, who would have thought SB19 can do an alternative rock song? And it's really just so cool to see such a group in this lifetime. At the end of the day, you guys, Saw EP proves that even with new producers and unexpected sounds, SB19 never lost their identity. They have this skill that only comes from years of hard-earned artistry and deep trust in each other. Honestly, this EP feels like it's setting the stage for their future, both as a group and as individuals. And you can really feel how much they've absorbed from this experience. New techniques, new ideas, new approaches. They're like sponges, always learning, always adapting, and more importantly, always applying what they've learned masterfully. So did SB19 lose their sound with Saw era? No, they didn't lose it. They expanded it. They deepened it. They refined it. Because true artistry isn't about clinging to one sound forever. It's about growth, about daring to explore unfamiliar places without forgetting who you are. And that's exactly what SB19 has done. They didn't abandon their identity. They stretched it. They made room for more stories, more emotions, more possibilities. And in doing so, they didn't just preserve their essence, they made it even stronger. And that, ladies and gentlemen, that is the sound of SB19.